Not to forget SSL and stuff are not free.
Yes.
So like Nginx, they can perform those stuff quicker.
Yes.
And plus, if you go through like static resources while you're Python code, is like no point, right? So might as well let the whoever's faster do the job.
Yeah, one more thing, this magic here works with Nginx as well. So Nginx also knows how to redirect WebSocket calls and also normal GPP calls. So there's no configuration change when you're doing this as well.
On Nginx, you use reverse proxy to the Python app.
Yes. So you can just call the same call. When you reach here, you will know whether it's a WebSocket call or a normal GPP call. Yeah. So that's why I use Python. It's very simple. Everything one line. Anything more than one line is too complicated.
Right now, Django is still synchronous, right? The way before.
Yes. There's nothing wrong with synchronous. I can tell you, synchronous is much better than asynchronous. Because anything about asynchronous is hard. And you don't want to do simple things the hard way. Right? So there are still things that you need synchronous methods of doing things. You know, things like generating report, right? You don't want your tools and filters to go crazy, right? Or your pagination to go crazy. Those are the kind of things that you don't want to use too much asynchronous.
Where does ASCII came in play in this?
ASCII?
Like ASGI? ASCII, ASCII?
If you are using Tornado, you don't need ASGI. ASGI is a new...
It's a translation layer of ASCII.
For Django channels. This was written specifically only for Django channels, which is why I don't really buy their idea. They totally rewrite the whole thing. Like for example, right, what they are doing with channels is basically what Nginx and Tornado is doing with what they call downgrading your connection, which means when you have HTTP connection and what's coming in, they will not identify, right? That's basically what channels does. But channels is very ambitious, where you can even detect things like, let's say you're doing camera, they can detect things like RTSP streams, you know, or other protocols, which is way too ambitious for today's internet.
That sounds like our for Django, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Which is why they are still not in the main code base yet. Actually, the WebSocket part of this, they call it definitely the web server, SGI web server. The WebSocket part actually works perfectly. It's just that this part is too complicated to configure. Right, like, you see, right, when you want to downgrade your WebSocket from Nginx, right, it's basically just, I think there's just one extra parameter that you add in. The engineers can do that. Like over on the Tornado side, it's like one or two lines. But over here, you have to write your own implementation layer to know how to route the URLs and things like that. So it's for me, it's way too complicated way now. Because that's how the consumer producer vector works. You have to create your own producer, sorry, your own consumer to consume all the web and do all the stuff. And this is another killer point where it's a new implementation being written. It's basically WSGI converted into asynchronous. Like I said, anything asynchronous is hard. So WSGI was written to be synchronous, right? So to make that pattern into an asynchronous pattern is very difficult, right? And they're still trying to finalize it. So, and also because it goes against a lot of Python philosophy, where you try to do things simple and keep it short, and so it works. All these things is very difficult to do things, right? Like even this one is a redundant feature that they have, where normally we use things like celery or RabbitMQ to do the queue. But because it's asynchronous, and they just add a loop there to do queues.
So you try to do everything.
Everything is redundant. So basically, you're running everything on your of your web app, including your HTTP loop, your I/O loops, and even your queue loop on the same layer, which is very complicated to achieve. Like I said, it's not impossible. It's just that you need a lot of time to plan your apps, because it won't be like your normal Django apps, where you create a view, you load, you see a cafe, right? It won't be that anymore. You have to plan all your queues and all your, all your processes properly. Because you'll be like Node.js, right? Everything will come at the same time, everything will go at the same time. And the worst thing is that about asynchronous is that the thing that you send out first doesn't necessarily come back first, right? So you cannot know the thing. So it's a different way of coding already. And not a lot of applications today need the kind of 100% asynchronous style of coding, right? And this one, the fallback for WSGI is not that clear to do so. Right, so the fastest way for me, I think, will be doing it with Tornado and Nesting.io.
Is the G event still relevant? Last time I used it a lot.
Sorry?
G event.
Yeah. G event is not relevant here because Nesting.io is a much better option if you're using Python 3. Even if Python 2, I think normally they use the other one, coroutine, and what they call it now. Twisted.
Twisted is merged into Nesting.io.
Yes. Yes. So for Python 2, normally we use that. G event is for more lightweight stuff like Celery, where they do nothing but waiting for message to come back. Okay. Okay, that's it. Any more questions?
So for the WS price, it's a URL route, right?
Yes.
So once that is triggered, it doesn't end, right? You just stream all the blocks, data blocks to the user, or
like I said, because it's asynchronous. Asynchronous means, right, when I knock the door, I don't wait for the door to open, right? I'll just knock and I go into my car, and you will deliver the goods. Right? You have to know it's me, you know?
Yes.
So that's the thing. So once you send this, because it's a WebSocket, connection is open already.
Yes.
Once the result is ready, it will pass that to the same connection. And the connection is being helped by both these, let's say the fallback layer, where the Nginx and the Tornado, the Stripe, yeah, it's under their libraries. There will know who to send back to.
So the WebSocket stays open once that is.
That's why it's called a WebSocket. And also it's not a very good way to do asynchronous, so it stays open. Alright, any more questions? But even though if it stays open, you can actually make it into a one-way asynchronous app where you close it after you are done. So that's the best practice, or else you have this thing called memory leak.
Like it's asynchronous, right? Do you need to like use the new Python syntax for async time?
It has nothing to do with syntax.
But like Python 3.6 they introduced after they introduced async await, and then most of the code if they use asynchronous, they will use async. Oh
no, those are low-level implementation. Here all we have to worry about is open, send, and close. Right? Open is open the connection. Send means whenever you're done with your stuff, you send back. Which means, right, let's say you have one request. This is a pricing engine basically. So what happens is that there will be a pricing request to this handler. So the handler will call all the servers behind. Like let's say there's 5 components of 5 servers, you call all the 5 servers, and each server will return different email, right? So once all 5, whenever each one returns, it will just pump back a price. Right, so you have one call and you'll get 5 price 5 times as soon as the server is done. Right, so you don't have to wait for all to be done before you send all the prices. So the earliest one come back will go back there. Right, so I did this for a client project. So our incentive to them is that you want to have a better SEO, you make a server faster, right? First come, first serve. It's not my fault that client see your pricing last because the server is slow. Right, so this is one of the way to do it. Okay, so like for example, the 5 calls here, once all 5 is done, you can just close the socket connection. Right, so the next request will come in as a new socket connection. Right, unless you are doing things like charting, you know, those are Bitcoin kind of charting, those you have to keep the connection open for a very long time because the data is real time coming in, right? But that one is another level of implementation because you have to take care of things like timeout, bad connection and things like that. Right, because even WebSocket will fail physically just a basic connection, it will fail. So the fallback is more complicated for longer ones. So for simple apps, design it like this, where you know when you can terminate it once it's done. Like I know that my the point here, right, the point of failure here will be the number of servers behind. Right, so all I need to do is to do a timeout for every single server. Just every single server 2 minutes. Right, after 2 minutes it will fail. Right, so I know here my maximum call time is probably 2 minutes plus. That's about it. Yeah, that's why I said asynchronous is a different way of thinking. Your whole application design will be very, very different.
Yeah, I think it's only use it when you need it.
Yes.
Nothing comes for free.
Try not to use it. Yeah.
Connection is expensive.
So one of the important things is that because it's asynchronous, you can, let's say a Gmail app, right? You don't have to load everything at the same time, but every single one can be different WebSocket call. Like for example, when do you retrieve the new mail? When do you retrieve the status? When do you retrieve the chat? Right? All those can be different connection. When which one is done, it will just close, close, close. It's similar to what we did with JavaScript last time, which is bad practice. For WebSocket, it's actually pretty cool. Right? Because the data stream is very, very thin now. Right, but of course this is a very simple implementation. There are more advanced ones like I think there's this one called can't remember, but they have the whole protocol for WebSocket. Right, because over here we're sending raw data. Right, of course sometimes we use YAML, sometimes we use JSON, but if you have a proper protocol for it, like for example A is close the door, something like that, if you have a proper protocol, right, you can even streamline the WebSocket traffic to even much more smaller. Right, because WebSocket, the whole point is that you have to make it very fast, very short. Right, because it's a secret, you come back, right? You need to finish his job and make sure it doesn't break.
Are you talking about protocol buffer?
No, it's your own protocol. Like
message track?
Okay, how many of you are in the EDI generation? Electronic data interchange. Yes, the kind of protocol. Right, we don't use it today because we are all undisciplined interswitch JSON. Right, but by right we should have a proper protocol to meet all the standards. Right, but we have no time for that these days. Right.
How about HTTP2?
HTTP2. This will not affect HTTP2 because the only difference will be HTTP2 will save you a lot of work. Like for example, you don't have to compress the data anymore, right? You don't have to care about things like SSL, direct, but today you still do. But direct, you don't have to care about things like SSL, you don't have to do your compression anymore, which save your server a lot of processing time. Because whenever you zip, you know the gzip thing you do in your Nginx, that one actually costs the server a lot of time to do compression. HTTP2 by default is compressed. So basically you do less things if you use HTTP2.
Also it's a live, lecture is a live, it's by event.
Yes, but of course my answer is based on my experience with Nginx. Nginx has a very good HTTP2 fallback to all these kind of things. So basically Nginx will just work with HTTP2, WebSocket, and HTTP transparently, right? So they will know how to redirect the traffic. So like what Qidong said just now, SSL and HTTP2 will terminate in Nginx, which means when it comes here, right, it's a normal HTTP connection already, which means you don't have to worry about HTTP2. That also answers the question why we don't put this in front, because it will handle all these things that Nginx will handle for you. Right? Because the whole HTTP2 thing is also quite complicated. You know? So you don't have to handle all those things. So as Python programmer, what we just started was going to be lazy, do less work, and outsource as much as possible. Like I say, over here, the only thing that I code is actually the price engine, which is to retrieve the price and send it back. The rest are all not my code. Okay, more questions?
Yeah,
What goes on inside the price WS?
You will call 5 servers behind to get the price and send it back.
Like, what is price WS? Is it usually an object?
Yeah, it's just a normal request handler.
A what?
A normal request handler. So over there is the WebSocket implementation where you send, you know, open, close, send, the WebSocket thing. The WebSocket, when you start, you open the connection, then you will send message, then you close it, right? That's what happened there. So basically just implement the WebSocket classes.
Yeah, do you just say like your application might be HTTP, but then the Nginx server is actually running HTTP2, so the Nginx server actually translates for you?
Yes. That's why we got Nginx. These are things that you need to check. It doesn't matter if you're Nginx or not, you need to check whether your server handles it for you, if you handle it yourself. Right? So that's the reason why we have Nginx. They do all the work for us, all the Apaches and Nginx, right? They do all the work for us. A lot of work that we don't want to do.
Other than JSON, right, do you all use any other like formats?
Got YAML, my format.
Your own format?
Yeah, because I was working on this microcontroller project where they have like one K memory or 256 bytes memory. You cannot even have a proper variable name. You do something like A equals B equals those very compact formats. Yeah, so you can get anything as long as your client and server can understand it.
What about something like CBOR? It's like JSON, but no, it's like JSON serializable, but it's a standard.
For the user, if you want to have a more optimized JSON, use message pack.
It's binary.
Yeah, message pack is binary.
CBOR.
That one I
message
know.
pack is not.
And message pack is very much like compatible with JSON.
Yes.
CBOR is also JSON compatible. Both is JSON compatible.
I don't know, but I know message pack is the industry standard for now. So what they do is that they convert all the ASCII characters into a more Unicode representation,
I also saw
which is slightly smaller.
message pack and CBOR, and then what I saw is CBOR is like the blueprint standard. Message pack isn't. Both of them.
Message pack is developer standard.
Developer standard, yeah.
That's how we build the web, man. We just all agree on something and just do it. Okay, any more questions?
Well, we can talk about that in the next meetup.
Yeah. It's a new standard.
I read it's smaller than message pack. The size.
Why do you need so small?
No, I was just trying out binary formats. And then I saw this CBOR looks interesting.
Oh.
Have you tried Captain Protos?
You start.
Yeah, no, but if you really want small, right, we'll use something like just now what someone mentioned protobuffer.
Protobuf is small.
Captain Proto.
Huh?
Captain Proto.
No, they
By the original author of Captain.
Protocol buffer is the best one because they are.
But protobuf you need to define all the stories.
Yes, because someone already set the schema for it, but you have to think about yourself. What is the key? What is the value? What to convert? What to convert? So always use something that is more complete. Trust me, man. To save a lot of debugging time.
Protobuf is small because you don't have to transmit the schema every single time.
You
But you have to understand what you're getting.
Okay, any more questions? Yes. So now for the question that nobody wants to ask but everybody want to know is that no, you should not use asynchronous for everything. You know, WSGI still has its place. Best tool for the best job. You don't want to overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
Okay? Alright, thanks.
Next one we have is Aaron.
Yes, Aaron.
PM.
It's another way of that. Yes,
That do they use directly HDMI?
I've got it.
Yeah.
So
let's try that.
No, the other one. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, it works. Yes, yes. This is the only time it works for me. It never worked before. No, nice, the password.
Oh man, why are we not mirroring?
So basically, it's
You guys hiring me?
Yeah, a lot. Hi everyone. My name's Aaron. I work here, Mind Valley, in Banksar, UA, next to the MRT station. We got a really nice office. Everyone's welcome to come take a look. We're hiring. Dirty plug. Moving on. Today I'm going to be talking about.
You can just sit there.
I can't sit here. That would be really. It will make me feel bad if I can't see people. Alright, you can tell that even Python programmers are Pythonic in their presentation slides.
There's an error.
I screwed up Emacs and it keeps telling me about
Yeah,
it.
Emacs user.
Yeah,
High five, man.
You don't say high fives, you do high fives, right? Okay. So, who here uses any sort of virtualization tool, either in Python or another language? So virtually NV, RVM,
Never mind.
Python V and
Never mind.
Python.
Python V and V.
Yeah. So BNV, right? The one
Does
with
Docker
the
count?
Huh?
Does Docker count? Docker.
Docker? Yeah, for sure. Vagrant, VirtualBox, any of these tools. So all of these are some sort of tool for isolating your environment to sort of give your project a bit of consistency away from the global environment. So I kind of like these tools. I use them every day. So I usually spend a lot of time sort of like optimizing my environments, and I get a bit carried away a lot of the time, and I'm always looking for new tools. And in the last couple of months, I discovered this guy called pipenv, and it sort of like changed my life. I fell in love. So I want to tell this story today. All right. So okay, we've got a table of contents, but let's skip that one. So we've all started out as a new developer. Of course, we're using Python because we're sensible people. And this is where we begin, right? Yes. We've got the global environment, and we're happy. We're installing libraries with pip, and cluttering up our environment. And sometimes we have to uninstall, but that's okay. We don't mind. We have to install some random version because something breaks on Ubuntu or whatever operating system you're using. But you're okay here. You don't think there's any problems, right? This works. Yeah, this works. This is live. All my scripts are running, and I can install any library that I care about. But as soon as you start working, somebody comes along and tells you the usual story. It's like, hey, what if you have an old legacy project and you need a different version? What are you going to do? Every time you go to a different directory, you can install a new version of Python, you can install a new version of that library, and you're like, yeah, that sounds like a bit of an annoying problem. Like, what do I do about it? And then, of course, they teach you about virtually NV or any of the other tools that you can use to start isolating the versions that you use for a project to a particular directory. And that's when we get introduced, or things like this. This is probably where I started. That's why I wanted to put it first. Because when I was going through these problems in my mind, we go through the extremes of our development process. We're like, so I could isolate just this repository, but why not just do the whole computer? Right? Why not? You know, and it's a really valid approach. I'm really into Docker. I do like to use Docker a lot, but I haven't quite convinced my company to start using it in production. But I use Vagrant a lot, even with virtualization, Python virtual environments. In Vagrant or Docker, they all seem to work seamlessly, and it sort of gives you a standardized way of handling your dependencies. But I think this is the first tool that we all are introduced to. Was anybody different? Did anybody start directly on Python 3 and you started using PyVNV first? Yeah? Cool. But this is virtualenv, if for some reason you haven't heard of it. And what it enables us to do is say, I've got this project, it has a set of dependencies, and when I come to that project, I only want to install those dependencies and I don't want to disturb anything else in my system. So we can create environments, we can activate it, which will basically start up a new terminal within your terminal session that resets the path of your terminal to only, well, not only read, but primarily read from the binaries that are local to that repository. So virtualenv, it creates a directory within that repository just to your local environment. And then usually from a file like, you'll see requirements.txt on essentially every project in the Python land that holds a list of dependencies, and it'll just loop through and pip install all of them on your behalf. Well, with this pip install -r. So you can enter and exit the environment, use it as an isolated way to run your project with those specific dependencies that you like. I get a bit frustrated that I have to jam in my .env file every time into my git ignore file. I don't really want to have to do that every time. Requirements files are nice, but manually setting up the editable GitHub installations sometimes gets a bit awkward. But for the majority of my career, this has been a perfectly good tool, and I've enjoyed using it. The same for VNV in Python 3, it works just the same. Another tool that I'm struggling to say whether I like it more than pipenv at this point, but it has some serious limitations that I'll talk about. So Conda is a drop-in replacement for even pip. So it says don't even use pip. This is a new whole entire repository where you have PyPI for the usual Python packages. Conda is a company who are saying, nah, we want to create a new standard, sort of improve the whole dependency ecosystem our way. And the way that they do it is basically take a project, turn it into a tarball, and stick it in their repository. And again, it works super well, especially when you've got really difficult libraries to install, like Pillow, if you ever installed that, and it will screw you up so many times.
Yeah, SciPy.
Yeah, SciPy, Pandas, any of the machine learning libraries. Yeah, anything that uses NumPy as a dependency, you're gonna start screaming at live, because who uses Fortran still? That's the question. Except for my recent project manager, he ran away because he wrote a Fortran algorithm to trade Bitcoin, and now he's learning awesome money. Okay, but Conda, I do really like it, and I encourage you to have it on your system. Because if you're installing things like Jupyter, NumPy, Pandas, SciPy, Pillow, Matplotlib, you'll very often come to some sort of dependency issue, especially if you're on Linux or Windows. But Conda is specifically operating system agnostic. It'll work everywhere at one time. I've never seen it fail. But serious limitation is that it only drags libraries from its curated repository. So people have to have taken their PyPI library, converted it into the format for Conda to recognize, and stuck it on their website. But if you're experimenting with things like Jupyter and doing scripts or some machine learning work, Conda is definitely the tool that you want to use. You can use it for creating environments, and it does work for, again, isolating specific versions of NumPy and stuff. Excellent job. But if you want to share that environment, that Conda environment, and I have tried to do smart things in my company and starting new projects using Conda, but then everybody cries because you know, where's my requirements text file? And they don't know how, I can't even remember the command to reinstall a Conda environment via their command line tool is a pain. But if you're using, for machine learning stuff, this is the tool that you want to use. I really encourage it. Just have it on your system, because it just installs on a one directory in your home drive, and it'll just sit there, and then you can just call any of the Python stuff from in there, or use it to manage your system in Python. It works really well. Okay, but recently, this guy came in, pipenv. Oh, it really blew my mind, man. That this guy who created this library, he's the one who wrote requests, and Mara and some other tools, and he writes these really smart, simple libraries that do their job phenomenally well. Like, just go to his repo and you'll sort of sit there like, man, I wish I was this accomplished, you know, like writing really good libraries, you know, sort of the software dream to write stuff that people really want to use. And he's done it again. You know, he sort of looked at this problem of the dependency issues that we face in our projects and tried to give it a new flavor. And his flavor is called pipenv. So it's just a tool you can just install it with pip regularly with your global version of Python, and it'll drop into your command line, and you call it with pipenv. And it's really intuitive. You know, you use it in place of pip, and you just call pipenv install something, but then something really magical happens, right? It installs it, it drops 2 files into your project, but there's no virtual environment directory clogging up your project. You don't have to add anything to your ignore file. You know, you're not going to start jamming in accidental binaries into your GitHub repo. It does something really smart by wrapping virtual environments and sticking them somewhere centralized. So when you call pipenv install, it automatically creates a virtual environment for you using some hash, drops it somewhere into a secret repository that you don't need to worry about. And every time you're in this directory and you call pipenv install, it will automatically look up that virtual environment and install it within there, right? Also, a common problem that you'll find with virtual environments is how do you install stuff and how do you share stuff that's only local for development, right? How do people usually handle that? How do you hide your development or separate your development dependencies? You just install all of your stuff on your production service?
I have a different environment and production server.
I have a different environment on your production server?
Yeah, so I'll run the pip install again on the production server.
So you have a separate requirements file, right?
Yes, because I do Django, right? So we have different settings file to run different.
Yeah, and that's the way, right? You've got your pip file, and you can say that there's some line you can put which says read from your core installs, and then you can add on your development. So you just call like pip install -r development dependencies, and then it'll install just the ones you want local. But then you're adding more and more requirements files into your top level of your project, and I don't know, it just doesn't seem very pretty to me. And this guy has solved it using just a simple flag, right? If you've used npm or yarn for your JavaScript dependencies, it's using that same philosophy. So just call --dev or whatever you want. And in those 2 files that are on your project that pipenv manages, it's just like Ruby bundler. So it will create a gem file and a gem lock. And here you get what's it called? I think it's a pipenv file and a pipenv block file. Right? And it's just those 2 files, and it will automatically manage them for you. Additional things that it provides, I really appreciate, are when I've got this new virtual environment that's hidden somewhere, what if I just want to execute using that binary, just to start testing things out, or even to run my server within that environment. Usually the binary is there, right, for me. I can just call, source.env-bin, execute my Python. But this way, again, he's created a fairly simple abstraction for you. It's called pipenv shell. it'll open up a brand new shell for you, and then you can start poking around in that environment. Or, more fun, especially on things like Docker, or if you've got some configuration files, this is just a drop-in replacement for, instead of running manage.py.run server, you just run pip run, and it'll automatically look up that virtual environment wherever you are on your system, as long as you're in the right direction. It just works. It's really beautiful. So, I'll just give you a quick look at the...
Does it actually install the packages?
It installs all the packages into that hidden virtual environment file for you. Yeah, so it just manages it there. Okay, so this is what the command line tool looks like. Nothing too special, but I really appreciate that this fella has taken the effort to, he's put icons, he's put all sorts of interesting, he's just taken the time to sort of make it a pretty tool to use, where most developers wouldn't put that effort in. So yeah, it's just a regular command line tool. We can pip install stuff. We can run it within this environment that's set up for us. Let me just show you a quick example of what the pip file is. So it's just a fairly similar format to what you might be used to with pip, with the requirements.txt. But in this case, notice that there are no versions. So every time I come to this file, it's just going to automatically install the latest one for me. So instead of having to think about continuously updating your stuff, this might cause problems, sure, if you're not careful. And you can specify specific versions for it to install, and it will intelligently use that one. But especially for my development dependencies, I appreciate that I'm constantly going to have the latest tool that I'm using for development. Whereas with my production packages, maybe I would put a specific one there, if I've got an important tool that I'm deploying to production. Okay, then another interesting one is the pip log file that I mentioned. It's pretty a lot to look at, but again, he's done something really intelligent. If you notice here, he's got all of the hashes associated with the packages on piping. So if you wanted, you could go through and you could verify that you're getting what you're saying you're getting, and you're not installing anything dangerous onto your system. But in this case, it does specify the version here at install time. So long as nobody deletes your pip log file from your repository and reinstalls everything from scratch, because the pip log file will be regenerated each time if it's deleted, then these versions at install time will be maintained. All right. So just again, some small demonstrations. I like this one called pipenv graph. So it just gives you a dependency tree to look at. It's meant to. I wonder if I've screwed something up. Or maybe I didn't even have one because it's all top level and just 3 libraries. Never mind. So pipenv run. So sort of like if you've used with Docker, you can run just a specific command within the Docker environment. So let's try manage.py run server. And in this case, nothing works, but that's okay. Why? Well, I'm not. Huh? And if I call just pipenv install from the top level directory, it's going to fail, but that's okay. You get the point? Yeah. Demo win! The demo gods are not on my side today. But I still love you, pipenv. It's okay. Alright. This is fine. We'll just skip the demo. Well, one thing that I wanted to mention about Conda, by the way, I'm at the end of my presentation, but now I've got to fill time. This guy does something else that's super interesting. It installs every single one of your dependencies in one place, right? And you think that's the problem, right? That's exactly the issue that we're trying to solve. But whenever you make an environment for Conda, it will hard link all of those dependencies that you care about into the local repository. So you can still use, it only installs it once, so you're not installing pandas and big libraries multiple times, and then it will manage all of the versions outside for you on your behalf. Okay, any questions? Why does it turn up for a big ELAB? Yeah.
It's Conda from Anaconda.
Yes, yeah. So it's from Continuum, who is Anaconda.
So I suppose you work on like Windows and stuff because they make sure you will.
Like if I'm using a Vagrant box and I want to mirror my my server, then I'm usually using Ubuntu, right? So I'll install Conda on Ubuntu for sure. But again, it depends what I need. Like if I really struggle to install Pandas, then I'll install it with Conda globally on the Ubuntu box, and then just make sure that my project is reading that global. So just set up whatever script I'm using, Ansible or Fabric, to use both packages, if I need to. It's just a choice.
I remember that you can manage your development dependency, the setup file, right? Setup.py, you can manage those, right? Using Python virtual EMV.
Using Python?
Virtual EMV.
Oh, Python 3 as a built-in environment manager.
Yeah.
What's the difference between that and pip and?
Well, pipenv just wraps virtual EMV or VNV. VM. So it's just a convenience over the top, you know, and bundles all of your virtual environments in one place. So it's not different; it's just a helper. But to me, it just exudes smart choices, and especially the new way that it handles the dependencies. I appreciate that a lot. But for, I don't know, you mentioned setup.py files, and I would be very curious about your choice for using setup, like package setup files, if that's what you're doing.
Yeah, to manually set up the scripts.
Yeah,
like every single environment.
I wouldn't want to touch that.
One thing that is hard to be done in Python is the deployment of binary packages.
The deployment of Python packages?
Yeah, binary packages.
Oh,
some you need to use setup rules, some you need to use lib. Additional.
Yeah, I mean, pip.
Oh yeah, pip comes with setup.
No, if you, there's a really cool video of a guy who talks about how pip works. All pip does is run a really dirty bash script that runs setup.py. Yeah, then you use pip install, -r requirements, and that's it.
You just try to understand the application.
Yeah.
Pip is not the hard. We should environment.
Yeah. So when you install from pip, PyP, it's just downloading all of
it downloads from the repository, right? Online. What if you want to make yourself a Python package and deposit privately?
Pip you can directly download from GitHub.
Yeah. And
so only
like
those with
closed source.
No, GitHub you can have private. So only those with the correct keys, for example.
Yeah, closed source.
On our own server if you want.
And even with pip, you can set it to install from a local local directory.
It's not. There's no simple way to like copy.
I mean, it's a notoriously
It's not author.
yeah. No, but if you have a custom library that you have to keep offline, then you can just tell pip in your requirements file to install locally.
Yeah, by email.
If you really have that problem. But that would be pretty extreme.
I just link the.
Cool.
What we do is we have a Python package for the scope for project work. We need to deploy to hundreds of devices. So we just maintain like one Python package on S3. With what? I use one Python something to generate the Python structure for something like the Python. What's it called?
Or something like
where they store the Python files.
If you want no free use and you want to deploy to a lot of people, you have no places that you have no control of. Use
this sort of place is very cool.
But deploy to different UIs.
Yeah, it runs on Windows.
or use something like Ansible to.
Like going to the Pi.
Oversimplified signal.
Raspberry Pi. Going to Raspberry Pi. So we just use
Raspberry Pi has
pip install. When you install, pip is already there. You just use pip install something from.
But I don't know. It seems like a non-issue. Any OS will handle Python. Any OS will handle pip install.
Yeah, actually, if your requirement file is the links are correct, right? It doesn't matter if it's private or public repo, you will as well.
But if you really want that as a standard, I'm not sure if it's still relevant.
What?
View.
Build?
Build.
Oh,
Yeah,
wheel.
build,
Oh,
build,
yeah, build.
again, yeah. Hip
Yeah,
handed.
appreciate
One
it.
health we use
is better.
wheel. But then one bad thing about wheel is until now they still don't have support for script.
Okay, let me give you the best solution. Because the virtual environment inside your coding directly, you package it together.
Well, everything is almost everything is open source. You can do it. Thank you for
Seriously, see like what Aaron used to do, right? There's this .env, right? You package the .env together to your then you don't get to your environment. You don't do it, you don't need to install it, just
copy that.
Yeah.
Cool. Anyone else?
Off topic is that I've been really out of touch with Python. So I want to know, like last time, like whenever we want to create a new package, right, you have to write our own setup UI. So do you still have to do it yourself?
Yes.
Or is there a helper?
No, just use a cookie cutter.
Cookie cutter.
Cookie cutter.
That's another one.
Yeah, so that just sets up a really generic setup file.
I don't want to write it every time.
Yeah. So for most cases, that's a good enough tool. Written by the 2 Scoop guys.
Yeah, what's his name?
That's 2
Husband
scoops
and wife, right?
Yeah, the
Or
2
three,
Scoops of
yeah.
Django. There's a really good book if you're into Django. And they wrote this tool called Cookie Cutter that allows you to make Ginger-backed templates for projects. And then yeah, you just sort of pip install your project template and then it works.
It's like a peak for Django project.
Yeah, well for any project actually.
Oh yeah, I do have it.
Yeah. Cool. Nice. Is that, have you got any more talks to do?
Just anyone want to show anything?
You lah.
I have nothing to show.
I can make my environment well, I'll show you some.
I want to talk about like keeping the meetup going monthly. So
Yeah,
You just want to take away from him.
I'm the failure who drops it. It was my responsibility before.
speakers, venue, and stuff. So okay.
Just don't have babies when you take on responsibilities.
It's a pity because we have conference, we have a annual Python conference in Malaysia, but we don't have regular meetups. Because everybody is so occupied with organizing the conference. So it's a catch-22 for
Yeah, anyone going for a Singapore Python user group meetup? No,
What should I ask?
just asking. I
Okay.
think the issue is this year is in Singapore, right?
Yep,
Last year was in
Malaysia. Not bad. You eat like 6 meals a day.
Yeah, there are a lot of speakers, a lot of speakers, badges, everything. Yeah. Malaysia don't have like no sponsor. Need a venue sponsor.
So, you guys ready? Like, you guys want to talk more?
Okay, so I think we are very keen as well in encouraging your monthly meetups and stuff. So we are here to basically open up our venue as and when you need. You just need to let us know. And what we find is that I think Python developers, you guys are a very rare breed, very hard to find. Even if you find sometimes your level of requirement, your understanding of Python is not as in depth. You know, it's not like, oh, PHP, I know everything. Okay, no one says that, but anyway, what we are really trying to offer as well is a little bit more community engagement. We want to work together with this community and grow the numbers a little bit, have it more engaged. So we may as well, even today, we may be getting your phone numbers just to start the Telegram group. Maybe it will help. We are offering our social media managers and all that as well. And what we want from that group is really an avenue for you guys to ask Python questions, to throw updates and stuff like that. I think that a lot of times, Telegram right now, I don't know how many of you use Telegram. Do a lot of you use
Yeah,
Telegram?
there's actually a Python Malaysia group on Telegram.
Oh, there is
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I guess you can add us all in.
Yeah, it is on the Facebook group.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we will jump in and we basically just want to be a lot more involved with the community. So we'll see how it goes throughout the months. We have people like Ray, raise your hand. Yeah. Okay, so that's Ray, who is my business partner and our CTO basically. And he's a kind of person that can also teach new things. He's the person who will explore new grounds as well. So Ray's gonna self-volunteer himself to talk
Thank you.
and teach.
Thank you.
I think there are a lot of things that can be done, and we want to start this year.
Yeah, I think you are right in a way. Python developers are actually not rare. It's just that a lot of developers, their first skill are not Python.
Yeah.
Right, so as you can see, right, it actually surprises us as well. When you see there's no activity in the group, right, when you organize something like this, right, you can see a lot of people showing up. For some reason. I don't know where they come from.
There's somewhere. For us, it's also for our guys, to at least have access to your knowledge and share resources.
Access to our knowledge. Okay.
Yeah, but we are offering ours too.
I think you guys are hiring also.
What?
You guys are hiring also.
We are hiring. I think we will always be hiring developers. At least Python developers. So if any of you would like to send a resume, you can send it to inquiry. But you can send it to inquiry@oceannexus.my. Actually, don't wait. Just send it. Inquiry@oceannexus.my. If you don't know how to spell our name, Ray has a t-shirt.
Maybe you guys give a more in-depth introduction of what you guys do here.
Sure. Happy to offer it. Okay, I'll just tell you guys a bit about what we do. I'm sure that a lot of you are in development, sometimes you are in-housing and all, but basically what we do is client projects and stuff. We don't have our own in-house products. So when a client tells us, okay, I need a web platform for our business and all that, that's what we actually go in and build. But we build on Python so there are a lot of limitations in this country in the sense that a lot of your legacy software and stuff is not on Python, so sometimes not so easy to navigate. But when we meet new clients who are up and coming, or they've gone through, or they have not gone through like digitization and all that, they tend to come to us. Okay. We also do apps, like I said, but we build Ionic apps, so they're all hybrid. We don't do native apps. So if you're interested in a type of job where it can vary, there's some variations to what you do, what sort of projects you pick up. I think every project is different and new for all of us. Every time a new project comes, it's not going to be the same old boring thing. Okay. Our company is also varied in the skill sets that we have because we are consulting based as well. Okay, so we do hire consultants because we go out, take project requirements, we look at the business a lot, then we just build cool tech stuff lah. So it's not just that. We are slowly exploring new spaces as well, like blockchain. Buzzword, I know, but basically that's what we do. It used to be big data, right? So now blockchain is like the new big thing. So we are exploring that space as well. If you are the kind that likes to basically, if you're the curious kind, you like to explore, you like to see new interesting projects, endless supply lah in what we do. Okay. If you are the kind that loves programming, it's really what we want. We are not really looking for programmers who are merely interested. Like I have slight interest in programming. No, we actually have really hardcore development needs right now. So if you guys are interested, drop it. If you think inquiry is a long name, you can send it to ray@oceannexus.my. Yes, the shortest email. Okay. If you have any questions about what we do as well, feel free to talk to me, talk to Ray, anyone. Okay, all of you Ocean Knights, like raise your hands. Yeah. Okay. So this is all of us. Feel free to ask. But we do have other employees who are not around today as well. So we are a growing team. Okay. Our company is only, I would say, 3 years and 4 months, 3 years and 3 months old, about that. So we have grown quite a bit because there is obvious demand for technology. And if you have not been in Malaysia long, it's an emerging market. No one is digitized. Digitization is not even halfway done. Okay, so there's a lot of need. Okay, so let us know if you're interested. Thank you, and thanks guys for showing up. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for hosting.
Yeah, no problem.
Clean up and stuff.
Yeah, I think if we grow the numbers, eventually we can cater because bigger numbers, it will make more sense as well lah. So maybe we can start catering food, having dinners and stuff also. Okay. All right. Thank you.